No? Somewhere up north? South? Let's unmute Louisa. Where are you, Louisa?
There we are. I unmuted, yes. I'm in Cabeças, which is very near to Figueira dos Vinhos, which is in the center of Portugal.
Oh, okay. What's the nearest bigger city?
Maybe Coimbra.
Oh, I'm going to be there in 3 days if you want to have a coffee. So.
Oh, I'll think about it. I don't know if
I've Christopher Wallace, you know Christopher Wallace, tantric teacher, and I'll send you my WhatsApp number. I don't want to put it public for everyone, so this is my WhatsApp number if you want to have a coffee in Coimbra.
Great. Maybe I will.
I'll be with Daria or maybe one other person. Anyone else in Portugal while we're hanging out? I like to see people's locations. Would people be willing to stick that in their name? It's really cool, just from like cultural point of view, to see where people are, and maybe the time zone as well. It's helpful if you rename yourself.
Listen, Mark, I'll do a little intro for you and what's going on. Unless you want to do it yourself, let me know. Sometimes you take over, you know.
You know me, I'm terrible. I have to apologize for Erica for muting her there. I thought she'd made a mistake, but she hadn't. She was awesome. I was lurking in the background for some of it. Was she nervous at the beginning?
Yeah, she didn't really show it though, because she's good at centering.
It's normal, huh?
Nervous as well.
Steve, is there any official stuff before I start? You don't need to intro me.
Yeah, I'll do the official stuff. I'll press record now and do that. Right. All right, welcome everyone to this session. So, as you know, this is a session on how to be a better leader than Mark, and Mark's going to be presenting this one. A few things before we start though, like I said, the last one, if you were here, we love it if you have your cameras on. However, do be mindful that we're recording this. Cameras on means we can both sort of get feedback from what's happening for you, and it's also a bit safer in case something's going on, so it's nice to be able to see everyone. If you do volunteer for some demonstration coaching, so what's going to happen is it is recorded and it's live streamed, so be mindful of that. We don't want to, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, we don't want anyone selecting like a 10 or 11, just something like a 4, because it's going to be shortish sessions. So be mindful that you will be recorded if you want to do that. And most other stuff I've said, Mark will go over some stuff. If you have tech problems, do message me, private message me. And this is for both coaches if you want to watch it, or for people who want to get the free coaching as well, and you can join in at any point. But of course, everything is your choice, and take care of yourself if something gets a little bit challenging. Mark, you know Mark, he's just going to introduce himself anyway, Mr. Embodiment. So over to you, Mark.
Thanks, Steve. You're an awesome star as ever. It looked like Erica did a great session. I want to see more of you guys, okay? Like, you can be like Mila on the beach with her honey. That's okay, right? Like, I don't mind if you're like washing up or in the garden. Like, it's okay as long as you're not like emailing. All right. So yeah, turn your cameras on. I want to see you. It really helps me teach if I can get. That's it. Thank you. Hello to our Australian friends. This is why we do this in the morning. Sucking on your Tim Tams and whatever you do there. Nice to see you in Switzerland. If you want to add your location, like Nadra, nice to see you again, Nadra. If you have, that's kind of cool. Time zones, cultural stuff, it's all important. So it helps me a lot. Okay, so this session is going to be on leadership. So I'm going to talk for about 5 or 10 minutes. If you're still doing something, that's cool. Then I'm going to offer you a bit of group coaching using EYP. And then I'll take a couple of people for some fast and furious one-to-one coaching, and we'll just use whatever is best for them. So we'll see what happens. So yeah, I'm kind of recognized as a leader now in this field, and that was not necessarily something I would have expected growing up. You know, I was kind of a fuck up, and I was from a pretty bad family, and in many ways. Oh, there's going to be swearing, by the way. So if you have children, headphones. And if you're easily offended, then you're in the wrong place. So yeah, I grew up kind of in a way where I thought I didn't expect to amount to much. I didn't expect to be leading events for thousands of people, or the Embodiment Conference, 500,000 people. That was a real shock to me. And, you know, when I said to my family, like during the conference, like, hey, I just borrowed £2 million to do an event for 500,000 people, they just it was so outside of their frame of reference. It's unbelievable. They couldn't have imagined it. You know, my granddad was a barely illiterate Irish immigrant who fought in World War II so he could emigrate to England. So this is, you know, not what we expected, that I'd be a leader of a kind of global thing, even in this small area. You know, let's not be too grandiose. And that didn't happen overnight, right? That happened stage by stage. Like I couldn't have done the last embodiment conference without the one before, which was a mere 15,000 people, which at the time freaked me out. Now that's a Tuesday, right? So, you know, it's one builds gradually in one's leadership. The other thing I noticed is as I was doing martial arts and meditation from about 20, 25 years ago, and naturally my leadership skills started building from that. Though I wasn't trying to do that, I was just trying to learn to fight and learn to meditate, but naturally those skills came in. And then I kind of went, oh, that's interesting. Like I'm getting, you know, more of the skills of a leader, whether that be self-regulation or charisma or listening, you know, what people might say as the skills. The nice thing about a skills model is you can learn it. So for example, like think of a leader you admire. Maybe it's the Dalai Lama or Barack Obama or someone historical, you know, Queen Boadicea, one of my heroes. Okay, she was an ancient warrior queen of England. Anyway, so if you think of a leader you admire, often you'll say, oh, they, you know, what makes them great? What makes them a leader? And you'll give abstract qualities. You'll say, you know, they were brave, or they were compassionate. And it's the problem with those is like, how do you develop them? You know, how? This is something I saw Richard Strozzi Heckler, who was someone I learned a lot about the leadership field from. He's very good in this area, embodied leadership, and Wendy Palmer as well. And they said, instead of just having these abstract qualities, have a way to build those qualities. Yeah. So what builds the quality of courage? What builds the quality of compassion? And the answer when you're talking about building a quality is always practice. That's it. So I always joke, if you ask me a question, the answer is always practice, right? This is one of Paul Linden, one of my other mentors. It's kind of a joke, but it's also true. Like I'm learning Portuguese now. I'm here in Portugal. How do I learn? Practice, right? It's not theoretical. You have to practice. Bom dia, tudo bem? So you have me practicing with Luisa, my few phrases, yeah? I have a Brazilian accent, don't I? Because I used to live in Brazil, yeah? Equally, that's the other way, yeah, Luisa's hearing it, so, oi, gatinha! So the other way we learn is through immersion, actually. So I lived in Brazil and I started getting this slightly more playful, sensual, you know, Brazilian embodiment. And when I came home, my mum was like, where did you get those hips? Yeah? It's a Brazilian way. And actually, like I've even like the last week or two, I've been in Portugal. I might feel different from you if you're used to hearing me. I'm a little lower. I had sex this morning. I'm a little softer. I'm a little, you know, I've been enjoying good food and beautiful people and beautiful swimming in the sea. And it makes a difference to our embodiment, right? That was accidental. You can do it consciously. I tend to use a skills model of embodiment because it's even more precise than a qualities model, right? So some of you read my book, you'll see the embodied intelligence model. We work with this a lot for leaders. I've worked a lot with corporate leaders. I'm not in that mode today. I'm not dressed in that uniform or acting in that way. You know, my language would be different, my dress would be different, but I've worked with leaders in, you know, major global companies, believe it or not. And I stopped swearing and put on a suit, basically. I've also worked a lot with the non-profit sector, which is a different culture again. And I've worked in about 50 countries because some things in leadership are global, some things are cultural. For example, in Russia, you generally want a much more authoritative, clear, directive style of leadership than in, say, Denmark, you know, where you have to discuss for 20 minutes how long the 10-minute break is going to be before, you know, we come to a democratic consensus, you know? So Scandinavians, is that true? Should we discuss it? Yeah. Okay. The other thing I've done a lot of is mentoring leaders. So some of you just saw Erica. Erica is a leader I have mentored. Okay. Erica was not always like this. And while she deserves full credit, a lot of it also goes to the practices that she was doing. Yeah. So developing leaders from young people. Maybe you've seen Masha or Christina. They were two leaders I really helped develop and mentor. Karin, who was already a leader when I met her, but maybe added another element to her work as an older person. And I really get a lot of satisfaction from that. So if you're thinking, am I a leader? Am I not a leader? A leader, we could define many ways. A leader is not a victim. Okay, so who here is a victim? Put your hand up. Okay, if you're a victim, you're in the wrong place. A leader is someone who makes choices, and that could be as simply a choice as I choose to be here. That's you leading your life, right? Or I choose my mood. Like, can you raise your mood or elevate your, wake yourself up? Like, who's tired? Embodied leadership can be as simple as, wake yourself up, one deep breath, right? Or who's stressed or a little excited like me, because there was no decaf in Portugal, and needs to calm themselves down. Maybe take a slower belly breath. So for those of you who are body people, this may be obvious. Who's like a body person? You're like a yoga, a dancer, much like. Okay. And who's more like a coach who does a little bit of body stuff, but it's not so much? Keep your hands up, because I've got like 10 screens to go through. There's some familiar faces. Hey, Ben, hey, Rowan, nice to see you. Great, more cameras on, please. As most of you are lurking. Dami, hey, Dami. Ranko in Croatia, hello. Oksana in Lisbon, hello. So, yeah, we can regulate ourselves through the body. And when I teach corporate leaders, that alone is a profound realization. It's profound, yeah? So I use all kinds of embodied coaching tools, working with leaders, one-on-one, or done a lot of leadership development courses in corporates and other places, NGOs. Lots you can do, right? Like sometimes if I'm working with leaders in the gay community in Russia, we're just doing trauma work. That has to come first, you know? Maybe we do emotional intelligence, and that really sits within. Emotional intelligence is as good as an in to embodiment, because most of it's embodiment, yeah? Like empathy is not theoretical, it's felt, it's resonant, yeah? Resonant leadership, there's a book called. And that's particularly in sort of corporate world, because people see that they're, well, I always start here like, hey, you're smart, you know your job better than I know your job, but maybe there's some skills I can teach you. And let's take emotional expression versus emotional regulation. Everyone's good at one of those two things and not so good at the other. Like right now, look at the screen, look at the cameras. Have your cameras on, that's why I need it. So some of you are like expressing yourself, even though you're just listening. Like I'm looking at Andy, you know, she's doing stuff, you know. Other people are more flat. Like, is it Namgay? It's like in Bhutan. Wow, someone in Bhutan, that's so cool. Love to Bhutan. Now he's more expressive, right? So it's like, I've never had someone from Bhutan. You're my special guest. So I thought we'd done every country. So someone in Zambia too. This is getting more global. You'll see if you look on the screen, some people are more expressive, like maybe Fabiana, right? Other people are more self-controlled. This is not good or bad. It's just a skill and it's a habit. So what we do in embodied leadership is we raise awareness of people's embodiment, and then we give them extra choices. EYP is a great system for this. Maybe you've heard of it, embodied yoga principles. You don't have to do yoga to do it. Increasingly, we work with non-yoga people. It's just we could call it embodied postures, miss out the Y. It's a great system because each pose reveals your relationship to a certain thing very quickly. Yeah, we sometimes joke the biggest problem we have is it works too well. So you do the pose and then it's like, all of a sudden you're like, whoa, you see your relationship. So we're going to start with authority pose, which relates to leadership quite strongly in a minute. Yeah, if you want to join in, of course. The next thing is also it's a great practice. So like, for example, I was coaching a woman from, let's say, a major Scandinavian furniture manufacturer without naming any names. And she was physically very small. And the rest of the board, she was board level, so pretty senior, very smart lady. The rest of the board were these huge, tall Swedish and Norwegian dudes, right? And it's like they kind of talked down to her literally and metaphorically, yeah, because she was like, I don't know, 155, like 160, like 5 foot tall, okay? And she was pissed off because they were not respecting her. Yeah, and now you could say, this is sexism, no one should put up with that. But the fact was people were just doing it, yeah? And it wasn't their fault even, they just, in their bodies, that's how they were, yeah? And what we gave her was some poses like taking up space and authority and warrior. Again, actually, I think I just gave her 3 poses that were 1 minute long each. And she practiced them 5. She said, I'm busy, I'm a mum, I'm an executive, I need something quick. Anyone have clients like this? That's me, by the way, as a client too. We're all busy. Yeah, she said, I'm not going to do Aikido. I'm not going to go do karate. I'm too busy. Just give me something fast. So I gave her these 3 poses and she went away and practiced them. And she said people literally asked if she'd grown. Yeah, they said, "Have you got bigger? Are you wearing heels?" They asked her. She doesn't wear heels because, you know, Swedish woman. Yeah, so it's like literally people were asking how she'd grown, but what they were feeling was she'd got bigger embodiment-wise. So embodiment isn't about your physical size. We could say energetic size, right? They were perceiving her as more big, more weighty, more authoritative, and as a result, she was being treated more respectfully and differently. Does this make sense? Yeah. Now, in her case, it was from a physical thing. For some people, it's emotional. So, for example, I've got friends who are 6'2", they're like 190 or whatever that is in Europe, and they still make themselves small in their embodiment. In her case, it was very literal, but in a lot of people's cases, it's how they shrink. Let's all do that. Everyone shrink now. My teacher calls this smallify. Make yourself small. Some of you are already doing this. If you're in a leadership position, that's probably not going to be helpful, is it? Now, don't do it. Some of you have gone into like a full fetal position. Just do it a little bit. Like, how would you, let's calibrate this. How would you make yourself a little smaller? And maybe there's a place for that, right? Like if I'm, you know, co-teaching with Erica and I want to give her space, I might do that deliberately, right? Now, how would you make yourself a little bit bigger? You could try just bringing your awareness to the sides, up and down, letting your spine be extended without being stiff. Like I'm still resting on my chair here. I'm not like a soldier or something. Yeah. Okay, so look on the screen, go to gallery view and keep expanded. And I'm like, wow, what is this party I'm in now? Like I'm in a room full of leaders, just from this simple thing we did, right? It's like, wow. And some of you are a little bit stiff, you need to relax into it, right? But some of you might feel a bit fake, like you haven't worn it in yet, like new shoes. Now let's make ourselves small again. Everyone do this, small again. And now look on gallery view again. It's like, what a depressing party. You know what I mean? Like, what a bunch of subservient, small, possibly traumatized people. You know, again, it's not your fault. It could be a safety strategy if you do this. You know, people have been abused or just their culture, or whatever it is. There's gender factors, ethnic factors, class factors. In England, working class people small, upper class people big. No one talks about class in America, do they? Anyway, America's not online, so I can be mean. So you're getting it. What are you learning? Tell me in the chat, what are you learning? No side chat, by the way, but if you want to speak to me or say what's going on, I don't mind. What are you learning here? Am I wasting your time? I'm trying to coach everyone at once before I take a couple of individuals, right? This is group coaching. I'll coach this whole goddamn room. Inhabit your space. Nice way of saying it. Difficult to shrink, right? So your pattern might be the opposite. Either you're already shrunk, so you can't shrink more, or it might be you have to be big the whole time. We've all got that friend, right? I'm a bit like that. You have to be big, right? Some people like being small, and that's okay. Like my wife's almost invisible, but when she needs to be big, she just whoop, expands, no problem. So it's about range. It's not about saying you have to be one way or the other. Yeah. Permission to exist. Wow, it's beautiful, huh? It's a profound thing. Yeah, you're not learning, you're remembering. Great. All good teachers will make you feel that way, by the way. My body frame for a reason. Well, it's not so much about your physical frame, it's how much you inhabit that. You know, you can be a big person who's small or a small person who's big. Actually, I'm quite short. I'm 173, that's 5'8". And when people haven't seen me in ages, they say, oh, I forgot you were short. All right, which is always depressing, but they don't remember me as small. They remember me as like a big person. Does that make sense? Yeah. On Zoom, no one knows how short you are. It's fine. Stop playing small. Yeah, people have maybe taught you to be small. Again, culture, gender, ethnicity, there's reasons for this, right? Yeah. Great, this is really good. Nice feedback. Is that Japanese name? Konbanwa. Okay, cool. All right, let's do some practice because talk is cheap. So if you're willing to join in, please stand up. We'll do some group coaching. Set up my kitchen in my Airbnb in Lisbon. Put on at least 3 kilos since I got here. Cake is so good in Lisbon. Okay, if you're willing to join in, please stand up. I'd really like that. You can do it sitting down if you're in a wheelchair. I'll give you some variation. It's going to be hard to do lying down though. Okay, so let me show you the feet for this pose first. So you don't need a yoga mat, but the yoga mat helps show the positioning. So the positioning is wide. You see that, right? So I'm not in a straight line. The positioning of authority pose is wide. Imagine like a small dog can run between your legs, okay? So not like this, the dog wouldn't get through, here, you know? So that base is really important. And it's really important, it's solid. So you jump up in the air, land, and it should feel really solid. Okay, one leg is forward and your weight is on your front leg. So leadership is not like hanging back, right? It's entering into the world, yeah? So find that solid position. It's like a karate stance, a martial arts stance a little bit. Like if you're trying to lead without a base, that's not very helpful. You're going to be wobbly. So how does it feel just to be solid? Notice if that's familiar before you do anything else. Because some people, they live their whole lives up in the air. Like I've got some gay friends who are traumatized and they're kind of like, they're like up here. You see that in gay community, like male gay community anyway. They'll be like, hey, or yeah, there's like, or anxious people. So instead, drop down. Yeah, feel your feet. Legs, you can visualize tree roots. Some cultures are much more grounded, some are much more up in the air. My Italian friends tend to be quite up, right? Whereas in Spain, it's a bit more deepening. Yeah. Some cultures, some classes, some ethnic groups, you'll see that depth. So find that base before we try and lead anyone else. Let's get stable. So you could push a car from here. You could be pushed and not fall over. And if I show it from the side, the head is on the hips. Okay, so you're not leaning forwards or back, the head is aligned. Yeah? Is it good for you, Steve? Okay, yeah, great. Okay, now let's come to ourselves. So a lot of people keep that base, but now let's tune in. A lot of people, their leadership is coming from like what society says, or their parents think you should be a doctor, or something else. So let's come to ourselves. Put one hand on the heart, one hand on the belly or the womb, if that applies to you. Maybe remind yourself what you care about. What do you love? Yeah, and when you're ready, when you feel like, yeah, I'm connected to myself, to sensation, to emotion, to values even, take hands up, gently extend them, fingers together, palms facing almost like down slightly. Of course, you can do this in a chair as well. So not up and not out, but in a V forwards. Obviously use both arms. And the extension here isn't like overextended, but it's not timid. Okay, it's extending. Yeah, I'm just going to look at you guys. Stay there for a minute. I want to look on those cameras. So not too up, you're not transcending. And look slightly down, as if you were looking at a child that you cared about, but it was like time for their bedtime. So that's the feeling of authority here. It's like, hey, I love you and it's time for bed. Right? So you're authoritative, but you haven't lost the heart. You're not a dictator. For those who are parents, maybe this is easy. For the rest of us, you know, most of us have still had a child in our life that we have some authority with. Yeah, if you need to relax the shoulders at some point, you can take the arms down, swap sides. Leah, you look a little bit star-shaped. Anna, you need to extend a little bit more. Okay, take the arms down, take a rest. We don't want to be like physically exhausted, right? So if the body is tight or tense, just take a rest and then come back to it. Emotionally, you might notice something. Let's go one more on the other side. It might feel a little different on the other side. We're not going to explore that today. But most of you will feel either familiar or unfamiliar. So not the shape, right? You're generally not going to be going around doing this unless you're a footballer and you just scored a goal. That's what footballers do. Even blind footballers, blind from birth footballers do that. Yeah. But the quality, does that feel familiar? Does it feel like home base, like comfortable underpants? Or does it feel weird, strange, threatening even? If it's overwhelming, stop. But if it's not, stay there a little longer. And ask yourself, where do I need this in my life? Ask yourself in your first language, where in my life do I need this? You can rest the shoulders and then come out. But if the emotions are just difficult, keep going. Yeah, it's okay. You're not going to die. Where do I need this in my life? Where do I need to be more authoritative, more of a leader? Say, I know in your first language, I know. Or I'm the boss, or I'm your mother. Use a phrase of authority. I'm in charge here. This is my company. Notice if that's uncomfortable, if you're like, well, I'm not really in charge. I am your mother, but you're still free. No, 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 no. It's not Californian parenting. Yeah. Okay. And come out of that. Notice if that feels more emotionally comfortable to come out of it. Physically, of course, it will be a relief. And let's put in the chat. Let me hear from a few of you. Like, what came up for you? What's the difference between authority and leadership? Well, we could write a book on that, Manon, but this is just one way into leadership. I actually regard all the EYP poses as aspects of leadership. Saying no is being a leader, being listening as a leader, right? But this is one that often relates to leadership, is all I'm going to say today. Let's not get too heady about it. Yeah, Steve's giving some seated instruction. Thank you, Steve. I'm in charge of my life, right? That is a profound thing. And this is one of the most touching and beautiful things about embodiment is people realize that they can lead their lives. That's the primary leadership, right? The primary leadership before we lead anyone else, before you start a company or have a baby or anything else, lead your own life. You know, and someone who's maybe had trauma, who's been conditioned to be a victim or conditioned to be, you know, somebody else's slave in some way. It's harsh language, but we're often conditioned that way. That's a profound thing to learn, right? That you can be in charge of your own life. And for some of you, you may need to practice this because you might know that cognitively, right? Like your therapist could be like, you're in charge of your life. And you're like, yes, I agree, right? But that doesn't mean you embody it. Doesn't mean you really feel it. It's not in your bones. It's making sense, people? Nod loudly if so. If I'm talking shit, then tell me not. Someone else in Portugal. It's the Portuguese party today. My to-dos, I'm in charge, loving this, but need to look, okay, no worries, come back to it. Love to India right now, especially making sense. Cool, we're gonna do one more of this. And maybe let's just do a little self-care pose first, because sometimes, you know, we need to kind of love ourselves a little bit before we can become leaders, or it can feel a bit external or a bit threatening. So give yourself a little stroke, come back to yourself. It could be great, a self-care act to be a leader. Maybe we need to say no to someone to be a leader. We have a saying no to people that want us to lead their agenda and not ours, right? Actually, I always encourage people in my company, everyone to become a leader of some kind. And sometimes people then leave the company because they say, actually, this is not my life purpose. I'm like, shit, okay. Yeah. So not Batman, one hand on the body. The poses are quite specific, actually. Yeah, we really on the training really train people quite specifically. There's at least 20 technical points here. Yeah. Like some of your chin's up, that's different. Head's to the side. Breathing is soft. Yeah, so from a place of self-care, let's go again, okay? If it feels okay. So you can do it sitting or standing. I'll show you sitting this time for those of you who maybe can't stand right now. So same thing, one leg forward. So it's still solid, right? Solid, yeah? And extending up from a place of care. So what do I care about? What do I care about? By the way, just doing this with coachees, they'll say, should I leave my job? Should I stay? Do I want a promotion? I'll say, touch your chest, touch your belly. What do you care about? And they'll have a profound dropping down. Even people who've done no embodied work. Someone's writing that down. Yeah. Okay. And now, what do you want to lead in the world? And not abstractly now. Ask yourself in your first language, what's a project? Leadership is about changing the world. It's about leading something from change, one place to another. And we're not all Nelson Mandela, right? We're not all gonna take a country out of apartheid. But what do you want to lead in your life, in your world? What do you want to change? What do you want to make different? Concretely ask yourself, and if you don't know, you could do this every day. You could do giving pose as well. There's another version. If you prefer this version, what do I want to give to the world? That's another way of looking at leadership. Yeah. It's just the same thing upside down. What do I want to give to the world? I use this when I do life purpose coaching a lot. Yeah. I won't keep you there too long. You know, I don't know your vulnerabilities in your life because you're not, you know, in front of me. I can't feel that. So something useful for you there, guys, even in this very brief group coaching. Give me a thumbs up if something useful. If you feel like sharing it, public declarations are very powerful. What do you want to lead in the world? Cine, is it? Thank you for the thumbs up. I'm a sucker for, you know, a nice thumbs up as a reply. Beautiful to connect mother with leader. Yeah, absolutely. This was my first leadership teacher, strong Irish mother. Okay. People sometimes say, "Oh, Mark, you're sexist." I'm like, no, I just don't like weak women. Like, I grew up with kick-ass women. One of my relatives was the first female doctor in Ireland. Yeah. You don't marry Ukrainian if you like weak women, I'll tell you. Okay, giving pose feels natural. Great. So notice what feels easy. What feels easy. Yeah, but maybe the one you need to practice is the one that feels hard. Okay, it's like new shoes you have to get comfortable with. Lead with heart. Great. Bring women who have trauma out of hardship. Thank you so much, Rachel. I'll give you, what do they say in Wales? A hug? Cwtch, something like that. They have a nice word for squeezy hugs in Wales. Yeah, your head started talking, so keep coming back to the body, right? This is a practice. Yeah, you could do it every day for 1 minute. After 2 weeks, I get literally in just 2 weeks, I guarantee you something profound will happen in just 2 weeks. That's 20 minutes of practice. Yeah. Not even that, it's 14 minutes. I can't even add today, can I? Thank you, you're welcome. I'm not sure if there is a recording, maybe Steve can say. Trust yourself, yeah, that's a nice one, huh? What do we need to let go of to be leaders? So we do a letting go pose, which is a full forward bend, but sometimes I'm teaching and I just go, So let go of the muscle, but keep the spine up so you don't collapse. Just if you want to just, So keep upright, don't, you know, go into despair. So, So maybe you need to let go of a limiting belief, like, you know, women can't be leaders or working class people, right? Maybe you need to let go of a view. Maybe you need to let go of something quite concrete, like a job. Don't make any big decisions just yet. Yeah, so every pose we do, we can relate to leadership. Is it making sense? Steve, do I have 20 minutes? Is that right? Until?
Yeah, about 20 minutes until we're wrapped up.
Give me the exact.
You've got, I mean, 55 past, definitely finished by then. But
okay, thank you. 55 hard end. Cool. Steve knows what he's doing. I have no idea. I'm in Portugal. I'm going to be 15 minutes late and then have coffee. So let's do some coaching. Yeah. So it can be on anything about leadership. It could be, someone's laughing about my Portuguese joke. I'm so sorry. It's true though, isn't it? And it could be leading your life, could be leading a company, could be, you know, I can't tell you how to be a parent, but obviously the leadership stuff will be helpful, no doubt. So any kind of leadership. So if you could put in the chat what your leadership challenge is, and I'll choose 1 or 2 people. It's going to be pretty fast and furious. Nothing abstract, like existential doubt, because we got 10 minutes, you know, and nothing like hardcore traumatic. So it's not like my mum died yesterday, what do I do? It's not really fair on you, right, to do that here. Fear to be seen publicly. Oh, we can definitely work with that, Rachel. Okay, let's start there. Rachel, do you want to unmute so I can see you? Steve, do the honors. I think this applies for a lot of people, so you'll be helping a lot of people. Welsh, Rachel.
Hey, hi.
Hey, where are you? I can't see yet. Steve, am I highlighted? I can't see her. Hey, can you say hi again, Rachel?
Frozen. Perfect.
There you are. Hello. Rachel John in Cardiff, in Blacktop. Yeah. Rachel, is your Wi-Fi good? Because you need to have good connection for us to work, or else it's not fair on everyone. Is the Wi-Fi connection okay?
Yeah, I might have to.
So does Rachel have a solid Wi-Fi?
It was fine a minute ago, and now it's freezing.
Okay.
Yeah, it appears to be freezing a bit.
So Rachel, I might have to pick someone else. It's just going to be a bit awkward if the Wi-Fi keeps freezing. Should we try for a couple of minutes and then no hard feelings if we have to move to someone else, okay?
Oh, I'm here. Can you hear me? I'm here.
Yes, now I can hear you. Okay, so Rachel, where are you in the world?
Wales, so it is Kutch.
It's Kutch. It's a Kutch. I like a good Kutch. That's a hug in Welsh, right? So tell me in one sentence what the challenge is.
Fear of being seen publicly. I'm okay in groups where I feel safe.
Yeah.
Smaller groups, anything bigger, big freeze.
Okay, so first of all, I want you to notice two things. One, that's totally normal, okay? Human beings are scared of public speaking. It's generally considered the biggest fear ahead of death. And now I'm very extrovert. People think I'm super confident, but I get nervous with a big audience, more than a few hundred people live. Or when I gave my dad's eulogy, I was so nervous. It was important to me, in a church full of people. It's nerve-wracking. So I just want to say you're not a freak. That's normal. Yeah, okay. is the first thing. Like, give us a wave, people here, if you have this issue. Like most people have some fear of public speaking, and being seen. So also notice now, second thing, you are being seen right now by people, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so notice you didn't die.
I did not die, but the heart is going crazy.
The heart is going. So the heart is going, this fight-flight response, this natural response to just being seen, right? Totally natural. I'd like you to frame that actually as excitement. Like your heart is going not because you're crazy, because you're excited. You're like, it's an opportunity, right? You're being seen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep breathing. Yeah. Sometimes coaching is as simple as this. It's someone being nice to you and empathic and reminding you to breathe, right? Like if you're giving a speech, you're doing something where you need to be seen. In fact, where do you need to be seen?
So I'm okay in small groups. I'm okay working, I work for a charity with survivors of sexual trauma. I'm cool with those guys. I'm cool with the groups that I've got online. Yeah. I'm cool with small groups if I do classes.
But anything
groups. Bigger, so like the marketing thing earlier, putting myself on a wider
I would definitely, sorry to interrupt, I would definitely not frame marketing as putting yourself out. That's a horrible frame for marketing. It's more about finding people who love what you do. Okay, finding people who love what you do. That's all it is. Okay, you're offering, not putting out, because that is scary as a frame. And again, totally normal. Bigger groups, less trust, less common with, totally normal. Give yourself a little bit of self-care pose again if you're happy to, Rachel. Everything's your choice here, of course. Yeah. And one hand on the body, one hand on the shoulder, just giving yourself, letting the head go down if you're happy to. And just like, what would you say to yourself from this place of kindness about this? What would you say to yourself about this issue? If it's hard, imagine you're looking after a friend or like one of your clients who's had a hard life and you want to give them some love. Like, what would you tell them about this issue?
It's okay.
It's still okay, safe. Right?
Yeah. And you do know what you're doing.
You do know what you're doing, right? And you don't know what you're doing about everything, right? Like if I asked you to give a speech on, the Battle of Stalingrad, maybe not, or how to speak Russian, but if I asked you to give a talk on like helping sexual abuse survivors in Wales, you could probably tell me a hell of a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're just owning our competence of what we're good at. And maybe there was something in the past that made you feel less competent or less confident about yourself. And maybe it was whatever it was, sexism, whatever. And that's okay, right? Like we have our conditioning, but right now, we're being kind to that conditioning. Yeah, and also if you choose to really sit up straight, like sit in that power of straightness. That's it. Beautiful. Lovely. So choosing to sit up straight, How old are you?
51.
But you're a grown woman, right? You know what you're doing. You're not a baby, right? You're grown. You sit up straight and extend your arms out if you're happy to give it a try. And notice what happened in your breath there as you moved your arms out.
Yeah, opened up, loosened.
Yeah, keep breathing, because I'm wondering if you stopped breathing for a moment there when you started this.
I did stop breathing quite a few times.
Great, and if you keep doing that, you die, right? So it's really good to breathe. Like, totally recommend that. Yeah, great. So you're not dying, you're breathing. That's good. If you're breathing, you're not dying. That's how we test it in the medical profession. Keep breathing. Yeah, smiling is good, right? Think of someone who makes you smile. You know, the hand on your back, maybe, if someone who supports you to be seen, someone who believes in you. I do, actually. I just instinctively believe in you. I kind of want you to do well. I want you to do the awesome work I'm sure you're doing, right? That's my instinct. Keep breathing, keep breathing. You can put your hands on your hips, kind of like Wonder Woman if it's too much to keep them up. And take up space, right? Put your feet wider. You can do it on a chair if you like. You don't have to stand up, but put your feet wide. Often women particularly have their knees together, particularly if they're abuse survivors actually in your work. So feet grounded, knees apart. Yeah, if you're comfortable to. Yeah.
Yes.
Who's in charge?
Me.
Yeah, great. Just checking, particularly in your work, that's vital. Okay, how does that feel?
It feels good, but it's weird.
Yes.
How difficult. I stop breathing quite a lot.
Right.
And I recognize that from trauma before.
Right.
Stopping breathing.
Is it bearable or is it unbearable?
Oh, it's bearable. It's bearable, but I realize I get a bit emotional. Fear to be vulnerable.
Yeah, it is vulnerable to be seen, right? We're opening up, right? And here's my recommendation for you, okay? It might be difficult and weird, but that's maybe enough for now, right? Come out and practice, okay? Very simple. Now, there's lots we could do on trauma and like going, if we had an hour, we could go into much deeper stuff, but just a simple thing like my Swedish executive, practice this every day, 1 minute, okay? And if 1 minute gets easy, practice 2 minutes. If 2 minutes gets easy, get people to come and watch you, right? Like now, you're being, also just notice, go to gallery view, you're being watched right now by loads of people. Yeah, loads of people are watching, but they're kind, right? Look at their eyes, they actually look really supportive. You know? Yeah, so not every audience is threatening. Like this audience, I would say, is a supportive, kind audience who, guys, not if this is true. You want her to do well, right? You want her to keep helping women who've had sexual abuse in Wales. Who supports her? Who supports her? Yeah, we all do, I think. Wow, fucking kick ass. Rachel, feel free to turn your camera off to cry. I might come back to you briefly at the end. It's normal to be emotional. And anything before we close this?
No, that's wonderful. I'm going to keep doing it. And I joined the coaching, the EYP, so I just started.
One to practice. Thank you so much, Rachel.
Thanks.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Whew. Everyone okay? If you're watching this, you might feel some of your own issues, maybe have a little shake. This is what I use a lot. Coaching clients, move your body. If you've gone to your worst place memories, come back to the present moment, feel your bum on the chair. Look at me, what color are my eyes? Yeah, yes, they're very pretty, my mum says so. Okay, 3 things in my kitchen you can notice. Great, you paying attention? Good. Andy laughs at my joke, she's like the only one. I'm gonna put Andy on the screen just so I think I'm funny. Okay, anyone resonate with that? Anyone else get something value from that? Often someone does the coaching for like 20 people or a lot of people. Okay, yeah, it's a really normal issue, super normal, super common, should I say. Whew, this is intense, huh? We do one more? Anyone got a totally different issue? Yeah, please, you can thank Rachel, but please don't give her advice. Please don't message her, okay? She's probably just processing right now, so let her be. Let her be. I'll check in at the end. Steve, could you remind me? Yeah. Fear of men. Okay, that is a common one, sometimes for very good reason, not often. Obviously, I'm a man, so we could work with that, but it might be a bit intense for this format. Anyone else got another challenge you think is a leadership challenge?
Also parenting there.
What about parenting? Give me a bit of a sense of it. I want to make sure it's an example that'll serve the whole group. Because if it's like something specific to childbirth, I can't help. Not an expert. I can give you one of my colleagues. She's a doula. She can help. Not wanting popping in other people's lives. Emotional intimacy, wonderful. Can't take enough actions for this. I could work with any of these with EYP. Any of these. Jessica, let's do emotional intimacy. Anyone else have this issue? Issues with emotional intimacy? Yeah, lots of people. So Jessica, you want to step up if you're willing to give it a go? Steve, can you help out unmute?
Hello.
Hey.
Hi.
So Jessica's my favorite name because it's my niece's name. That's the first thing that's important to say.
Lovely.
Second thing, who's in charge?
Me.
Yeah, you're the boss. So if there's something you don't want to do, don't feel like because we're demoing, we have to. Your business. I can't see you very well. Is it possible to sort of see more of you, or?
Yeah,
Like,
my device is low on battery, so I'm kind of restricted by my 1 meter charging cable. I do apologise.
Oh, okay. Is it possible? I need you sort of to be able to not touch it. Are you holding it? I need you to be more like someone else. Is it possible to lean on something? I can coach just in your head. It's really helpful if I can see at least the shoulders and arms. Okay, great. So your hands are free? Your hands are free now?
My hands are free.
Hey, where are you in the world?
I am in Portsmouth in England.
I know Portsmouth, rough town full of sailors. And what do you do for a living?
I'm actually currently in between employment. I am benefiting from this for in mostly a personal way.
I'm so happy to hear that. Like, I've been unemployed. My dad was unemployed. Like, it's one of the reasons we do free stuff is so different people can have access. Yeah. And you said emotional intimacy, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Take a breath. Feel your feet on the floor.
I am. Can I just say I am wearing clothes? It's just a strapless.
I assumed. A gentleman always assumes that. So there you go. You've proven it. I saw it. So great. That's okay. Just as you're comfortable. So feel your feet on the floor. Take a breath into the belly if you can. Let your belly be relaxed. No one can see. And if you were to develop one skill around emotional intimacy, what would that skill be? And you can take as long as you want, but just tell me like one sentence. What would that skill be?
Expressing my feelings.
Wow. Okay. Expressing your feelings. Okay. And you're British, right?
Sorry?
You're British.
Yes. Yeah.
Are British people taught to express their feelings generally?
I know my experience certainly wasn't like that at all.
No, absolutely not. Before we do anything, Jessica, let's become the stiff British colonel in the military in Portsmouth, the military man who doesn't express his feelings at all. He holds it all in and expresses nothing, and he's in the military, and you see him often in Portsmouth, I'm sure. What's your name?
Jessica.
Jessica. Okay, you're not expressing your feelings in any way. Okay,
no.
What's the problem with that? If we did that for the rest of your life?
You don't connect. There's no growth.
Say I. Use the first person. Say I.
I don't connect.
Why is that a problem though, Jessica? What's the issue with that?
I mean, connection is vital to life, isn't it? It's vital to, yeah.
Gabor Mate stuff, right? We die without it. It's really important to connect to ourselves, and then when we connect with ourselves, we can connect to others, right? We can be intimate, we can develop great relationships, yeah? Yeah, okay, so we need to learn to express ourselves. Let's do something simple. If you're happy, can you put your hand on your heart, which is here, unless you're a football player, then it's here. It's normally here, okay? So roughly in the middle, slightly to the left, yeah? Okay, and breathe so your hand moves. So as you breathe in, hand gets pushed out slightly. So most British people breathe lower down without moving the chest, yeah? So my teacher noticed this years ago. He said, it's so British. Yeah. Irish people a bit more on the chest. Just 3 breaths. How's that feel?
It feels relaxing and grounding.
Nice. Okay, yeah. And it's kind of reassuring sometimes the hand. And you may also feel a little more expressive already. This is I'm starting off very gently because we like to what's called calibrate as coaches.
Yeah.
So a little bit more. And start, if you're comfortable, a little bit of a back bend. You don't have to go like a full yogic, but like a little bit of a back bend as you breathe in, okay? Yeah, let the jaw go. And you can even let the head go. You don't hurt your neck, but as you breathe in, a little bit more expressive. And you can stop if it's too much. If not, keep going. Yeah, take the hands to the side. So palms are open into the side. Breathing in that expressive breath. And I know it's not very British now, but if you're willing to make a kind of a growl. Do you like to swear? I like to swear. Are you okay to swear?
I am a swearer in moments, yes.
Okay, so if you've got kids, everyone, headphones. Okay, so as you do it now, just give me like a fuck, or your favorite swear word, if that's not your favorite swear word.
Fuck.
Yeah, that's it. You can laugh. Laughing is expressive. It's good. And again, fuck yeah! Yeah, good work. One more. I want the neighbors to think something's going on. So big breath. Fuck yeah!
Fuck yeah!
Yeah, that was a good one. Okay, how did that last one feel? To me, it felt like something came, you know? How was it?
It felt really good. I've actually got goosebumps all over my legs and my arms. I feel like
Wonderful.
I just kind of validated something, maybe.
Validate some part of you that wanted to be expressive, right? So again, This is your homework. You can look up enthusiasm pose, or sometimes it's called fuck yeah pose, okay? So this pose is really helpful for learning expressiveness. You don't have to swear. You can go hell yeah or something else, you know. You can do it lying down with a bolster underneath you as well if you want to practice it in a more passive way. And learning that expressiveness. We could also send you to improv class or get you to do dance. There's other practices we could give you, but just as a simple, quick one, this would be very good. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Any questions?
No, I actually feel like you've given me some really good stuff to kind of go away with, and I'm really enjoying everything so far. So yeah, thank you everyone, and yeah.
Thanks, Jessica. It's nice to train a normal person, not a life coach for a change. So much appreciated. Send my love to all the Sailor Boys. Okay, good. Wonderful. So we had two quite different issues, but in a way both the same. We just gave them a pose that could be helpful. And as Jessica said, there's something useful she could take away. I don't want her to be dependent upon me. I want her to be able to, go away and work with herself to empower herself. Of course, there's deeper issues, there's other things, but this is a great start when we're having quick coaching. Rachel, can I just check in with you? You doing okay? Thumbs up. Yeah, you seem okay. You seem solid. Yeah, great. WhatsApp me if there's any problems. Okay, Steve can give Steve a private message. Rachel, my number if she needs any follow up. Same with Jessica. Okay, I think you'll be fine, but it's just useful, just responsible as a coach. Okay, so in terms of what I did there, guys, so I built a little bit of rapport. I helped them calm down at first by asking where they were from and just being very calm myself as a coach, leaning into my kinder side, which some of you may not have seen. As a way to just kind of build that connection. So I'm doing a lot this side. I did like 10 EYP poses myself in each session. You didn't see them because they were small. Yeah, so I'm doing it myself as a coach as to what's most helpful. I'm regulating myself, building connection. You also may have caught, I did centering to ask to clarify the issue. So by the way, coaches, if you want to steal something, steal that. Don't steal the EYP because it's too delicate. Too dangerous. You need the training for that. But if you want to take something without paying me any money, the centering, very simple. Just take breath, feel the feet on the ground, take a breath. What do you want to get out of today's session? It helps. It saves you 10 minutes of bullshit. Okay, gets straight to the issue. And then basically I was calibrating what's too much. Like with Jessica, we did fuck yeah pose because it's related to expression. There's other things we could have done. Could have got her dancing and other stuff. And we started off very gently, just with the hand on the chest. And I was just kind of checking in she was going to be okay before we did anything. And there's more extreme we could have gone, but I kind of had an intuitive sense maybe that was enough for this context, because this context is quite vulnerable. Does this make sense? Yeah. So this is what we do. If you want to learn it, guys, Steve can send you to where you can learn the packages, or we're not doing much in person. There's a thing in Brighton maybe this year, but mostly it's online now. And the scalability means the price is really nice. Like the price is pretty cheap because it's scalable. So much cheaper than people that trained with me in the past. Okay, Steve, I think I'm on time, right? Is it time for me to go get some coffee and pastels and cakes and things in Lisbon? It's enough work today. I'm getting Mediterranean.
It's all right. You'll be back to do a bit more work at
Yeah, I'll
5
get back
p.m.
later, aren't I? We're doing marketing stuff later on, yeah? Thank
Yeah.
you so much. Can we just have a bit of love for the volunteers as well? Rachel and Jessica, much appreciated. I didn't deliberately pick 2 British people, by the way, either. It was just a complete coincidence. So, cool. Steve, anything else?
Yeah, so if you want to give a top coaching tip in a sec, Mark, and hang around for 1 more minute. So just before, we'll encourage everyone to take a short break before the next session. Next session, it's going to be with Christina, and she's going to be looking at intimacy without fear. So that was almost like a nice segue there to that. So she'll be up next, which we've also got coming up. We've got some trauma stuff, and then repeat marketing leadership all this afternoon. Do think of a friend who might benefit from all of this as well, and if you want to share it with them, whether they're a coach, whether they're someone who could get some free stuff, feel free to share this Zoom link with them and invite them along. That's really nice. If you would like to go across, like Mark just said, this is all available right now, and you can come and check out the EYP training for coaches. So at the moment we've redone the special, so we did have a special and now we're redoing it. So that's $3.99. It's all their poses in it, along with stuff on how to actually work with people, stuff around.
That's less in euros. So that's $3.99 US dollars, which is actually less in euros and far less in pounds. So pretty bargain. Sorry, Steve.
There's also the group stuff as well, if you work in groups with teaching. And yeah, I'm mindful that I want to give people a little bit of a break before this, but last fun things, yeah, do take care of yourself after this if you do join in and do it, and be back in a couple of minutes. Mark, top tip before we take a short break.
Just sending my number to a Portuguese gentleman, should he want to join us for dinner. Someone's asking what's Keck and Feck. There are coaching codes. Yeah, you know what? My tip is just actually the most important thing as an embodied coach is just to be a kind witness. So I showed some techniques. EYP techniques are powerful, but mostly what I did was just tune into the fact that I was with 2 women who I just wanted to help. I was like kind and tuning in to just being kind and holding space for them. And they know about themselves and their life, right? They didn't need me to tell them anything. They know. So just the power of being kind and present to someone, even for like 9 minutes. That was 2 lots of 9. So I think that's really powerful, and it seems like it had a good impact for them. So yeah, power of kindness. It's cheesy, but it's true. So I think it's time for coffee and cake now. I get coffee and cake.
Thanks, everyone. Mark will enjoy coffee and cake. Feel free to get coffee and cake as well, and be back here in 3 or 4 minutes with Christina.
Thank you, Steve. You're brilliant. Christina's amazing, by the way. Totally different from me. Totally different. Just a beautiful vibe. Totally different style.